I'm the treasurer of Kara Governing Council. I am going to pray so that we can start off. Just a moment. We ask you, mighty God, this morning to be in our midst. Be the chair and guide of this meeting. We want to thank you for giving us a new day and an opportunity to discuss the present, the future, and the posterity of our nation. Father, we thank you even for those who have come and put aside their many busy schedules to be available for this meeting. We thank you for being with us. Mighty God, we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Ephraim, for that prayer. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a program before us that is going to guide our deliberation here. To start with, my name is Henry Ochieng. I'm the programs director at Kara. Those of you here in Kara for the first time, it's the Kenya Alliance of Resident Associations, and we've been around for quite some time, I think 14 years. And our interest is really to try and look at how do we mobilize the public, the taxpayers, to enhance access to public service delivery, and to be proactive in being part of the solution to the challenges that we face. Because we believe that the challenges of service delivery cannot be solved by the government alone. We as taxpayers, we have a role to play, and we must be able to understand that role and play it effectively. So that's just briefly, because we don't have time, but for those of you who want to know more about our work and what we do, you can be able to get in touch with us later, and we can be able to provide that information. I think I will take this opportunity to introduce our guests at the high table, and then we can be able to proceed. I think from the extreme left is Professor Peter Waiganjo. Waiganjo is at the University of Nairobi, and also has done a lot of work on issues of transportation and urban planning and many other areas. I'm sure I'll be able to mention that he's going to be our part moderator for a session in this program, particularly on the panel reaction, just to try and make our panelists bring out the issue that we want to discuss. So he'll help me in moderating this particular session. We have Dr. Steve Mogere from JICA. As you all know, JICA has also done quite a bit of work on issues of urban planning, and that includes the issue of transportation. And they are the force behind the Nairobi Integrated Urban Development Plan, the master plan. And of course, we are interested to just hear how they are also trying to link what they're doing with the aspect of transport and urban decongestion, which is the work that the committee and the county government is doing. So he'll make some remarks on their work and how the same links with the TUDC work, and how we can be able to collaborate in moving the process forward. We have our guest, Mr. Evans Ondieki. I'm sure most of you know him. And Ondieki is the county executive committee member in charge of transportation issues, roads and public works. And of course, we invited him here just to listen to what we are saying as stakeholders, but most importantly, also to share with us what the county government is planning to do or will do. One, with the report that we are working on as a committee, and secondly, holistically, in addressing a number of urban planning issues, transportation issues, and coming up with a mechanism of collaborating with the various stakeholders in making sure that we have sustainable solutions to the challenge that is facing us in transportation issues. So we'll be happy to hear from Mr. Ondieki and engage him on a number of areas. Next to Mr. Ondieki is Professor Marion Mutugi. Marion Mutugi is the chairperson of the Transport and Urban Decongestion Committee, which is a committee that was formed by the county government through the governor to specifically look at how do we address the issue of traffic congestion in this city. And the committee consists of a number of experts, a number of stakeholders, I think about 10 or 11 in number. I also happen to sit in that committee, and we've been doing quite a bit of work since February this year in just trying to understand what are the issues, but most importantly, how do we address the challenge that we face in this city. So we've been able to come up with a report, which is almost the final report, and our chairperson will be able to give highlights of those reports, the recommendations, and what we think needs to be done moving forward in addressing issues of traffic congestion in this city. Next to Professor, we have Ms. Gladys Gatiba, who works with Green Africa Foundation. And we are interested in what they're doing from the perspective of NMT. They're doing quite a bit of work on non-motorized transportation, and we just want to hear what is it they're doing and how, again, that links with trying to get solutions to the number of challenges that we are facing in this city. So I want to invite Jackie Klomp just to make a few remarks before we go to the next session of this. Jackie, please.
Thank you, Henry. I'll be really brief since we want to get into the meat of the discussion today. All over the world, cities face these problems of poor walkability, problems of traffic congestion, road crashes. These are not problems unique to Nairobi. What we do know is that cities that reach out to their universities, to their residents associations, and professionals, and really collaborate closely on solving these problems, tend to do better. And I really want to congratulate everyone who's here on this high panel in particular for really trying to set in motion a process where residents and universities can help the city to solve these problems. And I think within this report you'll find many very good and solid ideas. And so it'll be very interesting to get more feedback and also some ideas on how this can move forward into real changes in this very beautiful city of yours. So I just want to thank you all for taking your time to be here and battling traffic to be here to have what I think is a very important discussion. So asante ni sana, and with that, let's begin.
And I want to take this chance now to invite Mr. Ondieki just to make a few remarks on in regards to the county government and of course in regard to the subject of discussion today. So, Ondieki.
I know most of you are grounded in the sense that you already have most of the information, and it's not fair for me to start telling you a lot of histories that do not make sense. You are all aware that Nairobi started around 1906 when it became a fully-fledged city, and by 1963 it had a population of about 300,000 people, and now we have a population of about, if we do an intelligent guess, it's about 6 million people during the day and about 5 million people in the night, because around 1 million people move in from Kajiado, Kiambu, Machakos, and other neighboring counties. So during the day we have more challenges than during the night. But there is no challenge that you can underrate. So as a city, the governor has put a framework in terms of the integrated development program, which was funded by JICA, which we have actually validated, and which now will underpin development of Nairobi City Council for the next 5 years. Now, in the sector of transport, you do realize that transport is a critical sector because it is cross-cutting. So if you get it wrong in transport, then you get it wrong in all the other sectors, because in most cases they are informed by what happens in the transport sector. So, number one, you have to appreciate that there is no city in the world that has left the management of its transport sector wholly, 100% to the private sector or private individuals. Because the dilemma you face as a government, as a county government, and even national government, is if you want to create order, if you want to create discipline, and 100% of the operators are managed by the private sector, How do you instill discipline? Then number two is the quality of the drivers. Let us be honest, because if we have to create solutions, then we have to be honest with our past. In the past, people who ended up being drivers of the public sector transport were people who started as touts. They started moving a vehicle. As the driver was going for lunch, the tout moved the vehicle briefly and loaded passengers. Then with time, they learned the skills of moving a vehicle, but they don't know how to drive. They're not competent drivers in the true sense of the term. So they can move the vehicle around. That's why some of us, because I want to be sensitive, I'm also a driver. Some of us as drivers, we are very insensitive. We don't care about the pedestrians. We don't care about school-going children. We don't care about pregnant women when they are crossing on zebra crossings. We don't care about old persons who have served this country with dignity and diligence when they are crossing. It's like we become impatient that they are moving too slow. But we forget the fact that we have a history. These people, one day, they were very young and energetic, and they could move very fast. And they have served this country with dignity and honor. But now, they are aging. So we need to respect them. So it is these small things that we can do in the transport sector that will help us transform the sector. And I will tell you this, because me, I am not a novice person. I'm a lawyer by training, but I've worked a lot in Nairobi because I've lived in Nairobi for quite a long period. And I've lived in all areas. When I was in university, I was living in Hall 11. I moved to South P, Westlands, then Donholm, and then later I moved to Karen. So I have seen it. I've seen it all. I'm a totally transformed person, having started from humble beginnings to the top. So I am able to appreciate the transformation and evolution of this problem of transport sector in Nairobi, even from an ordinary mind's point of view. And this is the problem. The problem number one is attitude and mentality of driving. We have no respect for other road users. We have no respect for other drivers. Problem number one. Problem number two is the design and the drawings of our road network. This is a network that was meant to feed, if you take Upper Hill, it was initially serving about 100 residents, top of the managers of the then colonial government and later the area government. But now, Upper Hill is the capital center of Nairobi City. It has about, on the average, between 30 to 40,000 vehicles a day passing through that area. And then the road infrastructure that serves that area is the same. So you look at the sewerage system, it has never been upgraded. Now we have buildings which are 36 stories, and we are going to have a sewage like a river flowing from Upper Hill. There is no corresponding expansion of those services to accommodate the new infrastructure. So imagine if there is a breakdown of that system, the whole of South Sea, which is a flat area, will just be flooded with a sewage. So those are some of the basic common sense challenges that we have to address as honest Kenyans, not just in transport, but in infrastructure in a wider context, so that when we are having expansion of existing services and frameworks, there is always a corresponding expansion of the ancillary services, so that they all read from the same script. That is very critical. Now, the third challenge that we have faced is the mentalities and attitude of the officers. You see, we have the old school of thought. We have the emerging generation school of thought. And we have the digital and the other areas. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty, but let us agree that most engineers, once they agree that there is dead weight and live weight, and the structure is sound, they don't like arguments about how you can do it better for the structure to be sensitive to other users. And I will give you an example. We have made a presentation that some of the footbridges, if you see at the footbridges, just a few, the Thika Road, the superhighway, the footbridges lies on a 45-degree. And we have told them, from a layman point of view, that for an old woman who is or an old man who is 60 years, or a school-going child who is carrying 25 kg of books in his back, to rise to 45 degrees fast, and then there's a fall and another rise of similar nature, it is very punitive. And people take it for granted. But that is very for real. That is what discourages our residents from using footbridges. So it's all about changing our entire mentality if we have to move forward. Not just planners, not just engineers, not designers and architects, but policymakers and policy implementers. Because we do a lot of changes in the boardroom, but there's no corresponding change trickling down to the people on the ground who enforce those envisaged changes. So what we are saying, what we can do to make a difference is the simple small adjustments which do not even cost money. And I can assure you that we are not doing it. The fourth problem that we have faced as a county government is the circumlocutory bureaucratic nature of interaction with donors. You have a project you want to implement which is a quick win, and you are negotiating with donors, and I'm not going to mention names. And then you are in meetings for 1 year, you are in meetings for the second year, you have not even appointed consultants, or if there's a consultant, it comes with a report, you need to moderate it again, and the second year is gone. Like now, our government is almost 2 years old. So literally we have only about 2 more years to do a good job. And these processes, the road designs, road engineering, road drawings, transport re-engineering, is an exercise that is slow and tedious and cumbersome. So you need time to be able to change people's mentalities and attitudes so that they accept those new approaches. So we are under pressure from time. We are under pressure from meetings with our development partners. We are under pressure from the public who have huge expectations on our ability to deliver services. So you can see we are being punched from all directions. And we are saying we have what it takes. But you see, we need to know that we are operating within a given time framework. So if our development partners can also be fair and move things, and I'm saying this deliberately because you look at our traffic management, and the engineer Jama can confirm with me that we wanted to launch this traffic management, intelligent traffic management system in December. But owing to technicalities, now we are in August, heading to September. Still, we are having a system that was installed halfway. We have not managed to get a server for an integrated traffic management system so that we can leave that to the technology to manage it on our behalf. I can assure you that you cannot decongest Nairobi using the same old structures. Because if it is the police, and we have to get honest, who are the owners of breakdowns in Nairobi? Who are the owners of Matatu? Yeah? Let us get real, because we have to be honest with each other to be able to make sound decisions that will be able to bring about change. They are the same owners. So how can you tell them to move away from the very system and structure that has supported their lifeline? So it is like where it's like an exercise in futility. So what we are saying is, I'm glad that the Ministry of Transport has done quite a wonderful job in terms of bringing us together and giving us funds. They gave us 1 billion shillings through Kura to realign roundabouts and junctions so that we are able to facilitate movement of people and vehicles in a more faster degree than we are doing now. But we are facing surmountable challenges. So enough is about the problems and challenges. And let me deal with one more thing that is very critical before I move to what is the hope that we are doing in Nairobi City County. We've also, from available research, we've realized that 45% of people in Nairobi move by walking or cycling. It's a huge chunk of the population. So if you have seen Nairobi in the recent past, we have been doing pedestrian walks on Uhuru Highway, at Norfolk area, everywhere, Ngara. We are trying to make sure that the walkways, including roads in the estates, which we are doing at the moment, we have integrated walkways to be part and parcel of the road construction. Why? Because we realize that we take sometimes our planning for granted, because we plan from our red carpeted offices, but we forget that this planning must be consumed by the residents who are Nairobians. And we realize that 45% of the people in Nairobi depend on walking and cycling. So we need a good environment. We need a secure environment to allow them to walk. That is why the government of Dr. Evans Kidero, in collaboration with the national government, we are going to light Nairobi by December, the whole of Nairobi, in preparation for the launching of a 24-hour economy. Because Nairobi controls 60% of the national GDP. So the success of Nairobi as a county will be replicated in all the counties, because 60% of the funds collected to fund other activities in the other counties are generated here in Nairobi. So it is very important, instead of focusing on several areas, because if we become realistic, some counties don't have transport challenges because they just have one street through which passes through the county. But when you really come to Nairobi, you will realize the president lives here, the deputy president, all cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, managing directors, international agencies. Everything revolves around Nairobi. So for devolution to succeed, 60%, Nairobi has to succeed. And that's why our development model of devolution and other development agenda, we must all work that Nairobi should succeed. If it succeeds, 60% of whatever we are intending to do, either in infrastructure, in transport, and in other sectors of the economy, will have succeeded. That's why we are saying we need support in development of NMTs, or non-motorized transport. It is environmental friendly. It's a physical exercise, so it reduces other challenges of respiratory, heart problems, and diabetes. Then we also need to capture the gendered aspects of transport, because some things we take for granted are gendered. You look at the design of our vehicles, they are not gender sensitive, they are not sensitive to people with disabilities, they are not sensitive with the old people. They don't have space. So it is come, even before you come. And you can do examples, go to country pass. When ladies go there, before they are, you find a lady with a bag and a kid in their bag. And then the bag is maybe forcibly taken away because they are competing for the lady. And then sometimes one can hold the lady on her behinds, and sometimes it is not very present. Let us get real. So some of these things are gendered, and we take it for granted. And we are saying we want to create a structure, a framework that is gender sensitive, that is all or age sensitive. It is sensitive to the school-going children, so that everybody has space. Because if we are able to this is also critical in view of the coming up of the standard gauge railway. Standard gauge railway is coming, it's now a reality, and then just imagine that the goods that will be delivered in Nairobi now at the moment is 4 million metric tons. It will be 20 million metric tons annually. So there is an implication that we have to build capacity in Nairobi for warehouses, for transport networks, for interchanges, because it is coming. When those goods come, they can't just be stored anywhere. They have to be stored somewhere. So as a county, we must create systems and structures to accommodate the expected, the anticipated volumes, high volumes. We must also create systems and structures in the transport sector to accommodate the new passengers. At the moment, it's about 500. It's going to be about 1,000 plus per trip by one trip of railway transport from Mombasa. So all those are things we need to anticipate and to be ready. So yes, we are engaging in a combination of measures to address these challenges. Number one, we are creating new legal frameworks. We have drafted the transport bill, which is going to revolutionize the transport sector and create a public transport system. We are also creating the public Nairobi City Transport Authority, which will be specialized specifically on managing the transport of Nairobi City County. Because I can assure you that unless we have an organized transport system, Nairobi will remain clogged and we can't move around. We can only be mark timing, and we don't want people to come and say we were just like the others. We will just be statistics, because there have been governments before, but we are a different government. The government of Dr. Kitero wants to make a difference in 4 years. So we have strict deadlines, we have strict paying thresholds to be ready by 2017. These organizations and structures will be ready and operational. We hope by next year there will be an organized public transport fully controlled by Nairobi City County, so that people can begin to see a difference. People can compare, people can have an option. You cannot have an option where there are no choices. Now we are all dragged into one choice, which is the chaotic choice. And we have said we are not a government of chaos, we are a government of order. Now, we have also drafted the taxis bill 2014, because we believe strongly that part of the congestion in Nairobi City CBD is because taxis have transformed the CBD into a garage. They just come and dump their vehicles there, and somebody goes to shop in Kambara, he stays for 3 days. So long as there's somebody paying for him the daily parking rates, they don't mind. So we are saying Nairobi is a business hub, and we want it to be that a business hub center, and people should be able to move and get space to park their vehicles, or those people who want to do other things are able to come and do their business. So what we are saying is this: transport is a devolved function, so we have no option as a county other than to put a proper working transport system, because Nairobi receives more than 150,000 vehicles on a daily basis, and this is not easy. Then you realize the bylaws we are using now, most of them were formulated in 1935, when the number of vehicles coming to Nairobi were maybe less than 3,000. So that is a reality that we must deal with. So part of the legislative framework is one of the changes that we intend to bring across. The other change we are introducing is the Integrated Development Program, which brings a new land use, so that every development as a component of the land use. You realize when you go to Europe, you go to Japan, you go to China, the roads are in 3-4 deckers. So there is a basement, there is a ground floor, there's first floor and second floor, and they are all working. And you see, land is a very motive issue in Kenya, and moving people is not easy, and roads occupy land. So we are integrating this process so that we don't have to interfere with people's land. We can always use the space above or the space below. So, but that is a very costly exercise. That's why we are saying we need development partners also to come up with innovative ideas. With those few remarks, I am also proud to associate myself with the findings of Nairobi University, who have done a very abundant route identification, and then they have come up with a map. And as you know, information is power, information is security. If your population has proper information, they can be able to make intelligent decisions and informed choices. But if you don't have information, it is very dangerous, and it can cause, it has a security implication, because you can go to an area which you can avoid. So we are going to have a system that is organized, and I forgot to mention that we have also drafted the Residents Bill 2014, Residents Association, Residents and Community Bill, Residents Association and Community Bill 2014, which will empower Residents Association to do some of the basic things in the estates, because we have come to the reality that Nairobi is too big, and if we were to say that the county government does everything, that's not realizable. 80%, 90% they can remit to the county. So we are a government that believes in empowering other stakeholders to do things, because let us not ride on the false assumption that we can do everything for 5 million people or 5+ million people. We want to each and every person to realize their full potential, and the best way to do that is to allow them to exploit their full potential. And that is the essence of good governance. With those few remarks, I wish to associate fully with what you are doing, and I invite all the stakeholders who are adding value to this process that you will receive maximum support from the Nairobi City County Government. Thank you very much.
The chair, members of CARA and the Governing Council, and ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure and the pleasure of the Transport and Urban Decongestion Committee to present this report. You will recognize that, or we recognize that the report, the interim report, that the interim report is a document that is almost 200 pages. So we will just give the highlights. This is a bit about the mandate of the committee and how it started and what it's supposed to do. And in a nutshell, the committee was supposed to collect stakeholder views, the views of Nairobians regarding the transport situation. I want to highlight this bit, that this is in compliance with a constitutional requirement in this article that says that one of the objects of devolution is to give powers of self-governance to the people and enhance the participation of the people in the exercise of the power of the state in making decisions that affect them. So it wasn't just something to do, it is something that the Constitution envisages, and we wish to recognize that. These are members of our team, and as you can see, there is Joyce. Oops, sorry, this is technology. I'm a bit analog. Am I going back or forward? Forward. The vice chair is not with us now. He should come. Joyce Simitu, Dr. Simitu is here with us. Joyce, and she is a business person in the transport sector. There is also Anne Nicklin, who is a businesswoman and works in the arts. And of course, there was Francis Munyambu, who is the county head of the Inspectorate and Compliance Department. There is Henry Ochieng, who is our host today. There was Tony Karemi, who represented the taxis. Dixon Bugwa, the Matatu Welfare. Barnabas Morocco represented the PSV Union SACCOS. And Simon Kimtai, chairman of Matatu Owners Association. So, and of course, there was this technical team here, 3 engineers, and there was a secretariat. The methodology of this survey was on the causes, effects, and possible solutions to the traffic decongestion problem in Nairobi. This was a stratified sampling, a random sampling survey, and you can see all those details if you are scientifically oriented. And we put in advertisements in the electronic and print media, and the data collected was collected in all these manners. And there were several thematic subcommittees of the committee, including the demographics, the regulators, the public hearings committee, data handling, procedures, and literature review committees. We will go to the results. These were the demographics